p.m.
So has the sun started to set at 7 p.m. there, or do you still have more
Yeah.
daylight?
No, it's dusk. It's definitely dusk. Hmm.
Beautiful. So thank you for being here. We're going to talk about this great global transformation that's going on right now, right? And your work has always been with individuals releasing, moving with their body, right? Being more aware of what's going on. So how does what would you like to share with those that are watching right now? What do you feel that what are 3 things that they could look at right now for themselves in this time where we're all in the chrysalis together?
So I would say the 3 things are, if you want 3 things, I would say looking at the essential. There's a
Mhm.
lot of talk now about what's essential. Is your work essential? Is it essential for you to be outside right now? Um, Only to kind of stick to what's essential in our lives. And so that's one thing I want to talk about. And the other thing I want to talk about is our habits, our habitual patterns, and how we're used to being in the world and what's happening now with that. What happens to us when we no longer have our habits? And I guess the third thing I want to talk about is connecting to our connected in the same subject of essential is connecting to our most essential, deepest wounds that are being triggered right now and what we can do about that and how we can work with that. So those are the things that are going through my kind of my system right now. And just a little while ago, I was thinking about the fact that so we're about to celebrate the holiday of Passover in a
Mhm.
few days. And before Passover, here in Jerusalem, we're all, we're into the whole Passover story. And what we do on Passover is we tell the story of leaving Egypt.
Right.
And there's a lot of spiritual messages. The reason why we're asked to tell this story every single year was to keep telling the story of Exodus as if we are continuously in a state, moment to moment, in a state of Exodus, meaning Exodus from Egypt. And the word Egypt in Hebrew is Mitzrayim. And Mitzrayim means narrow place. Mitzrayim means a narrow place. And it's usually
Ah,
so usually we associate it also with the throat, the most narrow place in the body, and it's also the connection between the head and the heart. I'm a little bit digressing, but I'm going to bring it back to what we were talking about. So the throat is connecting the heart area with the head area. Okay,
mhm.
actually, is going to work well with what I want to talk about. So right now, with what's going on, if we're only in our heads, we're just going to be in fear and anxiety. That's what's going to dominate us right now. So, in order to get into the place where we can shift into a real shift, a global shift, we
Right.
need to come. We need to come into our hearts. So that's the first thing I want to say about that. That if we're, it's not. I'm not saying don't listen to the news or don't think what is the best, most rational thing for you to do in terms of your work, in terms of how to survive right now. But this has to be permanent. We can't forget our hearts. So that's another message I wanted to say. And
So
what did I
let me
want to say?
just hold, let me just because cap that, because I think that's very important what you just said here. So the idea of retelling the story of Exodus is what you were just saying. It means a narrowing. And then the throat is that
It's
space,
leaving a narrow place.
leaving a narrow place. Okay, so let's make that clear for everybody. It's leaving a narrow place, leaving a narrow place. And from that narrow place right now, as you're saying, the throat is connecting the head to the heart. So we're leaving the mind and moving through the narrow place into the heart, which is expansive.
Well, it's that the throat, which where we hold a lot of constriction, right? Also in the body, the throat, the neck. This is where we have our constriction, right? The
Mm-hmm.
children of Israel were called stiff-necked people. They when they were trying to leave Egypt, there was all kinds of issues going on. They were complaining, "We want our food back. Let's go back to
Right.
what we're used to." Stiff-necked people, and so the neck and the throat is a narrow passageway, and in
Right.
order to move through that, we have to come from this. To move out of it, we come into expansion. So the time of Passover is considered an expanded mind. And a
Okay.
mind which is expanded is a mind which includes all possibilities. So it's meaning here we have to forget, we can't only be in the possibility that this is a thing going on. It's easy to think this is a terrible thing going on, but if we look at an expanded mind, which is called in Hebrew or in Aramaic, mochin de gdula, de gadlut, mochin de gadlut, the mind, the mochin, which is gadol, which is big, wide,
Mhm.
and expanded. It includes all possibilities. So,
Okay.
but I just want to say one more thing, if I can,
Yeah.
about Exodus and about the Bible, is
Yeah.
that when Moses, if you know the story about the burning bush,
Yes.
right? When Moses sees the burning bush, and everybody's going by this burning bush, and nobody's stopping, right?
Right.
And Moses notices it, okay, because Moses was already on some kind of higher level. He wasn't a regular person. He noticed that there was a burning bush, but it continued to burn. It wasn't burning out. It just
Right.
was continuously burning. So he stops. Okay.
Right.
So also it was of nowhere. There were no distractions, and we'll talk about distractions also in a minute. What is going on for us now that our distractions are taken away from us, that we can come into a place of listening and seeing and hearing what we're
Right.
meant to see and hear. So when God speaks to Moses, what does he say to Moses? I'll tell you the words in Hebrew and in English. He says in Hebrew,
Perfect.
Sha'al et na'alecha mi reglecha. Okay, this is good for all the Christian Bible people. Sha'al et na'alecha mi reglecha. Now, what that
Okay.
means in simple languages, take the shoes off your feet. Okay, this is a holy
Ooh.
place. Take off your feet. But what it also means, if you the same words also mean, take the locks off your habits, off what you're used to, because the word na'alecha, na'al means shoe, and it also means lock, and regel also means foot, and it also means habits. So God is asking Moses to take the locks off your habits so that you can see and you can hear what your purpose is, what your mission is right now.
Wow. Say that again, because I'm like totally in alignment, because I feel that that is exactly what's happening in the world. I use the
I'm
butterfly
gonna
caterpillar to the butterfly, but just repeat it again for people again, because it's very potent. So take the
I,
locks off.
I was just listening, I was just thinking about this. What do I want to talk about? And I thought, wow, Passover's coming up right before when God is telling Moses. I mean, I don't know if everybody here follows, the Bible and goes
No.
by that, whatever, but these are ancient books, and there's deeper meanings. There's secret meanings that are coded in the words. So
Right.
when words have double meanings, what God is really asking Moses, not just to take off your shoes, take the locks off your habitual pattern and listen and hear, so that only, even though Moses was already on a certain level where he was able to stop and notice that the bush was burning, now God is saying to him, strip away everything that you know about, and now really listen to this message. You have a mission to go and take the children of Israel out of Egypt, out of 400 years of slavery, and through the desert, and to get to the land of Israel, to get to the promised land. This is your time. Moses like, what, me? I can't. I have a list, but I don't know how to be a leader. This is not who I am. And God is saying, no, take the locks off your habits. Okay. So right now we are in a place where all of the things that we're used to doing,
Yep.
whatever it is, cafes and friends and parties and get togethers. I don't have to go into the list. We all know what's going on. Everybody's in their own place,
Right.
in their own, we all have a list of things that we normally do that we're not doing right now.
Right.
And what happens? What to each of us, something is happening emotionally and spiritually, and on many levels, um, when that is stripped away, when our habits and our patterns and our distractions are stripped away, we there's something new coming in. But the thing is that we won't necessarily get in touch with what that is if we don't listen, if we don't really stop. Okay, because there's still plenty of distractions inside the house. There's there's Netflix and there's YouTube and there's the news and there's eating and there's drinking and I'm not saying not to do any of those things. I'm just saying we have to go inside right now. We have to get quiet. We have to, I mean, I just made my room. This is my treatment room where I usually do treatment. Right now, because I do hands-on treatment, I'm not really doing that right now. So I've turned it into a sanctuary. I have a candle. I have essential oils going on. I
Essential.
cleaned it. I cleared it out. And I'm making it my sanctuary. And I'm spending a few hours in here a day because I want to make sure that I'm putting myself into a place of quiet and stillness
Right.
so I can hear the messages that are coming to me. And if I don't do that, they're going to pass by me. Now, they'll come, but not with the same potency, not with the same clarity. They might come and I might not notice it. So I want to really listen to what God is saying to me right now, and what messages I'm picking up on. So, and that's the emotional component the emotional spiritual component that we have access to right now, if we stop and listen, if we take the locks off our patterns.
Right. And
Because even if we're inside our houses, we can still follow our patterns.
oh, absolutely. Right. I mean, you did ask me earlier today, which I just said, what are we going to talk about? How long is it going to go for? And I said, this is God's show, right? Like we're going to trust what's going to come through us needs to come through us. And I love that you're sharing it biblically. I love that you're sharing for the Old Testament. I love that sense. And I remember actually, it was about a year and a half ago, I was down in Costa Rica and I was having these biblical situations that were coming up. One morning I woke up and I said, tell me again the whole story of Moses, because I don't want to be that person. Does he get them to the promised land, right? Does he leave them stranded? Because I all of a sudden was feeling that didn't want to be giving a message that was going to have people stranded. And I had to sort of let go and trust in that same release that it wasn't about me. It had nothing to do with what I'm doing. It's trusting that God is delivering that message to each one of us, expanding our hearts, as you say, each one of us. Each one of us is in our own little space now and is going to get that message of what we need to do to release our habits, to change things around, like you've changed your treatment room into your sanctuary, right? That's really what's going on right now.
Cleaned it. First of all, I cleaned it for Pesach, for Passover. We have to clean. Before Passover, we do very intense cleaning. It's not just to get all the bread out of the house. It's also to go through everything in your life and actually ask yourself, is this essential? Is this essential? Is this essential? So we're every time of year, this is what we do. But I think this year we have more time on our hands. We're all taking it more seriously. But I did wash the floor, clean, go through cupboards, and it feels good in here. So it feels good to get down to the essential. And that's another really important thing to talk about, is that if we dare to get quiet and to peel away whatever these layers of distractions are, then, well, I'm finding that when I'm sitting meditation, every time I sit and meditate, or I'm teaching yoga on Zoom right now to my students, right, and before that I do a meditation, or even when I start to do a practice, I feel a really deep grief. Well, I'm not feeling fear. My thing is not fear coming to me.
Right.
Is the grief.
Okay.
And now I'm somebody who I like humor, and I like to be funny, and I've had a lot of difficult things in my life, and I've always like, oh yeah, gotten through them, move on. And I haven't done enough grief work. And I feel like for me personally, some old grief, and not just my grief, collective grief, global grief, there's grief. And when I'm quiet, I'm feeling this. So I feel like at this time right now that we're in is a time that all of our essential wounds, we're talking again about essential, but our deepest wounds are coming up in different ways. Now, again, we can distract ourselves. We don't want to feel them, like, pass me the weed, pass me the alcohol, the Netflix, the food, the zoning out, the sleeping. And it's legitimate because this is intense. This is really intense. But if we are able to allow ourselves to feel whatever it is, if it's anxiety, fear, despair. Um, this is the time. This is a huge opportunity when we're in a retreat situation in many ways to allow those feelings to come in if we can handle them, and if we can also reach, if we're in a position to reach out to our therapists and reach out to the people who can support us online right now. This is a great time to do deep work because these things will come up, and if we can sit with them, then we're going to get to what's to our essential, to something deeper. We're going to have it, and if more and more people do that, then we will get to the critical mass that we need to make the shift in consciousness, because this is what is being prophesized. This is what we've been, this time is, I'm 100% positive that
Hmm.
this is that we've been waiting for. I can feel it in my bones.
Yeah.
You know that song by the what is the Trogs? I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my bones. Right? It's
Right.
like shift in consciousness is happening.
Yeah.
It's I'm not. People are suffering. People are getting sick. People are dying. People are unemployed, losing their jobs. None of that is wonderful and good, and but this is what's called also in the scriptures, at least in the Jewish scriptures, chevlei Mashiach, the binds, the strings, the strong binds of the Messiah, meaning before the before Messiah,
Hmm.
there's chaos, there's difficulty, there's
Right.
pain, there's suffering. And the way to work through that is for each individual person to plug in to our wounds, to our pain,
Right.
to our fear, to our anxiety, so that we can uncover the pearl, the diamond that's inside. And that diamond is love. It's just, it's caring, it's
Yeah.
loving, caring for each other. It's knowing that we're all connected. And everybody's talking about this. Everybody knows that. But the way to
Hmm.
get it, I mean, we can talk about it, right? But actually let yourself feel the pain
Right.
isn't easy. It's never easy. But I'm noticing, I feel it in my throat. I feel it come up. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, wow. And this is, and I know it's not just mine. It's my ancestors. It's their ancestors. It's global. It's huge. It's everywhere. So this is what
Well,
this is. Yeah.
yeah, I was just going to say, Anel, well, she's in the UK now, but she was saying last week, what if the idea, because that suffering, we have to suffer to get through it, to get to the promised land. What if we're moving actually in this whole process that we can still stay in that peace and that joy? So our grief and our emotions, instead of us still feeling that it's a hard thing to get through, what if it's just as easy as you say as like washing the floor, right? What if we just give ourselves permission to say, you know what, I'm feeling that sadness. I'm going to cry for the next hour. I'm just going to cry. I don't need to know if it's mine, if it's the ancestors, if it's global or whatever. I just feel like my body needs to cry. Or I just feel like I need to just go and yell for the moment and let release. And if we just did that without making it mean anything, it couldn't we just be like washing the floor and putting things in order?
Totally. I don't believe that we need to suffer. Suffering. So that brings me to the subject of resistance and surrender. It's like
Okay.
suffering is pain multiplied by resistance. So as much as we resist the pain, that's how much we're going to suffer. So this time is also, it's like there, we can't resist this. This is not, we think that if we like disagree with our politicians and our governments, and if they're doing this right or doing that right, that's going to make anything different. No.
Right.
Oh, and also there's nobody to point a finger at. I mean, we try blaming China, we try blaming meat eaters, but the amazing thing is, we were always afraid it was going to be a nuclear bomb, it was going to be a terror attack, it was going to be something you could say the
Mm-hmm.
bad guy did it, and he's bad.
Right.
But no, it's invisible. This is so clearly, God coming through,
Yeah.
like the crown, the
Yeah.
king. That God is the king in the crown,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the time that we have a huge message to receive. In order to receive that message again, we have to take the locks off of our habits. If we keep doing everything the same way we were doing it before, it's not
Right.
going to it's not going to happen. So if everybody gets the message that yes, go in there, do what you said, scream, cry, emote, feel the
Right.
tightness, feel the constriction, feel the terror, feel the anxiety, and then let something else come forward, let something else come through. The more we get that guck out, and the more that guck moves through, the more we have more space in our hearts for love. We have more space in our hearts. And love, I mean, it sounds like this, love, I mean feeling connection, like we're all one. Here
Right.
you are, where are you right now? You're
I'm in
in,
Prince Edward Island, Canada.
wow, it's like Anne of Green Gables, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So my mother grew up, actually, she was a refugee from Czechoslovakia in 1939, and she went to St. John's, New Brunswick, in
Okay.
that
Yeah.
kind of, so
Hmm.
she there, the one town school, the one room schoolhouse and everything
Right.
she had. So I have a connection to that world a little bit. Um yeah, so
Actually, my grandfather went to probably that same one school. Cool, cool. He was in St. John, New Brunswick. So there you go. Hey,
oh wow.
maybe. No, no. No.
So that's the thing. It's like we right now, and the other thing is like that everybody's talking about is that the more isolated we are, the more alone we are, the more we're craving connection and craving to get closer to people, to feel how we're all connected. And
Mhm.
we're also seeing what relationships are meaningful. What relationships am I cultivating? Who am I
Right,
calling every day? Who am I thinking about? Suddenly
right.
thinking about old friends, getting in touch with them. We're feeling more and more connected. And the more that we allow ourselves to believe
Mm.
in that we are all connected, that we could really get it, and we are getting it. I mean, whether we allow ourselves to feel the pain or not feel the pain, we're all slowly getting a message, and it's going to come through.
Yes.
And it's just a question of how fast is it going to come through. And I actually believe that this thing will continue until enough people get it. Until enough people get that we're all connected. That's not I have more toilet paper than you, or I have more supplies than you, so I'm better off than you. No, no, we're all in this
Yeah.
together. We need to
It's
share.
a
We need to help each other.
flattening
We
out.
need to reach out for people who have less. We need this is the time to be sharing, not hoarding. This is the
Yeah.
time to be doing good deeds, to be taking care of each other.
Mhm.
But first we
I,
have to take care of ourselves, obviously,
yeah.
but we
I mean, that's really the truth, right? Is when we take care of ourselves, we actually feel, as we release these emotions, we feel more connected to other people. And, I heard from someone today, they said, wow, their neighbor of 24 years that they've maybe said a few words to in 24 years brought them over soup and banana bread, right? And I was saying, like, how did that make you feel? Like, doesn't that just open your heart that, her husband had passed away a few months ago, and there was an acknowledgement, but she really felt now all of a sudden they cared, right? And sometimes I think that's what happens, like you say about taking the locks off your habits, is people have been in busyness, you
yeah.
know, busyness. Some people haven't even acknowledged who their husband is or their partner is for years because they've been constantly on the go, right? And maybe they go on vacation together for a week, but they're so busy in that vacation, they're still not really connecting. And now you're with your kids and your family, or
There's
maybe
no
it's by yourself,
there's no
right?
escape. No, you can't
No,
escape. No.
it is
So
so divine.
right, so God is giving us this huge gift, even though it's in the veil, it's on the outside, it looks like this horrible, terrifying virus that's creating destruction everywhere.
Right.
It's this gift of exactly what you said, of relationships, of understanding this connection between all, and that's that other point that I wanted to make, that I wanted to say something about, is about the wounds that are coming up. So if those of us who are
Mhm.
alone, I'm not alone in my home. um, your wounds are going to come up between you and you, right? Your wounds are going to come up, and you're going to
Mhm.
have to look at them. You're not going to have an escape from them. If you're living with people, whatever that's coming up in the relationship is also your wounds and their
Right.
wounds, right?
Mhm.
It's triggering. The relationship stuff is going to make it maybe go faster and
Right.
trigger things. Like, I've got my 22-year-old daughter and my husband here with me, and my 22-year-old daughter is now at home after she was been in the army for 3 years, and she just finished the army as this thing started. So she was going to go traveling and go to Asia
Ah,
and this and do
right.
that. and she's stuck at home, and we haven't lived together. Even when we live, I mean, we've been living together, but these 3 years she's been in and out. Before that, she was in another
Hmm.
program. 4 years hasn't really been living at home,
Hmm.
and she's home full time, nowhere to go. She can't
Right.
really go out much,
Right.
and stuff is coming up for both of us, and it's like, I get this. This is a gift, and then we get through it. You know, if we deal with it, we talk about it, and
Hmm.
we cry and we scream, and we're closer. Then we're closer, and
Right.
I'm actually getting to know my daughter. What a gift,
Right.
what a gift. My Getting to know my 22-year-old daughter, and she's great. I didn't know she was so great, and she probably thinks that I'm less horrible than she thought I was. It's like we're doing yoga together.
Hmm.
We're having experiences together. We're cooking. We're laughing. It's like I'm having a relationship with my daughter. Um, so this is a gift, and it's not just, let's call it a silver lining. These are deep spiritual gifts that we have, that we're given opportunities to also do our personal work through our essential relationships, the
Yeah.
relationships that are essential, the people that we are now stuck at home with,
Hmm.
whether it's just with yourself or your relationships. These are your teachers. This
Yeah.
is this is this is the work. Look at these relationships. Look at what's coming up. There's no escape now. You can't leave the house. You can't say, I'm out of here, slam the door,
Right.
go to a bar, go to a
Right.
movie. You have to deal. What a
Yeah.
gift,
Isn't it
right?
amazing? Like that's what Shaman Ra called it, was that the Corona gift, right? When we were talking, and
Absolutely.
it's
And
I
not to say that people aren't having
oh, but
serious.
Rachel, let's look at you're in Israel. Okay, let's be frank here and candid. Okay, before this thing happened, was there common peace in Israel?
Common peace.
Yeah, was there like a
What do you
common peace? There was war going on.
Well, I mean, we're in the Middle East. It's always, I mean, we don't feel like there's war going on inside Israel. I mean, Israel, I just want you to know, Israel's a place where people really are there for each other. Like, there's always a feeling that if you're in trouble, if you fall on the street, everybody's going to come pick you up. There's a sense of
Right.
togetherness here.
Hmm.
But that being amplified, absolutely being amplified. And, the street, the car rage, what's it called? Um,
The car
drive.
bombing, the hijacking, the car thingies where they drive into you.
No, no, when drivers are cursing at each other, the
Oh, okay.
rage,
Yeah, yeah. The
road rage.
road rage.
The
Road rage. Yeah.
lot of There's a lot of road rage here. People are being nice here because Middle East people are very fast. People are stopping, being kinder. You
Hmm.
see a lot of kindness. There's in my neighborhood. We have like a promenade, and there's Arabs and Israelis and Jews walking by all the time. And usually the Arab boys in groups, like they're like 19, 20, and they're
Hmm.
young, sometimes are intimidating. If I'm alone and I'm walking by 4 or 5 of them and they're smoking or whatever, I
Right.
can get intimidated. I'm just being honest,
Right.
okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Last night the same kind of group walked by me, and I was like, ahlan wasahlan. I was like greeting them in Arabic. They smiled at me. It's like, you know, what was
Yep. You're opening.
perceived as a threat, they're not the threat.
Right.
They We all have the same threat. My enemy is your enemy. Who's
Right.
the enemy?
Right.
What's the enemy is invisible. So
The
right
enemy
now,
is outside ourselves, and that's the idea, is that we've been living outside ourselves instead of knowing everything we have comes from within, right?
yeah, yeah.
That life, God gave us life, and God is speaking through us. And as we go in, we find a greater expansiveness.
Yes, yes. And what we give attention to, and water is going to grow. So
Mhm.
again, if we want to make this a spiritual experience, not to ignore what's going on, but focus on the spiritual experiences that we could be experiencing and feeling and being in touch, we need to water that and grow that. So if you're watching a lot of news and you're like glued to that, you need to shift some of your time, or a lot more of your time, to spiritual discussions and other kinds of, and meditation. This is a time to be meditating, to be retreating, to be feeling. So it's up to us to grow and water and give focus and to wherever we put our attention, that's going to grow.
Mhm.
And what we resist persists. So again,
Right.
if we resist and we're angry and we're like, this is not okay, and I have to fight this, and I have to control this, and
Mhm.
there's no way this is going to happen to me, and it's just going to persist. So at some point, we're going to have to surrender. We're going to
Right.
have to surrender so that something else can come forth. Something else will come forth when we let go, when we
Right.
stop fighting. We can't fight right now. This is not a
Right.
time to fight. And there's one more thing it's not a time for. This is not a time for balance. There's another interesting idea that one of my rabbis was talking about before. He's like,
Mm.
we're always balance, being in balance. Um, we don't need to be in balance right now. We need
Yeah.
to actually feel our deepest wounds. That's not
Mhm.
going to make us feel balanced. That's going to make us, like you said, scream and cry and want to smash things, or want to like close ourselves off in our room and pull the covers over our head. This is a time to feel what is really going on deep inside of us. What
Yeah.
are our deepest, most essential wounds that we're carrying, and clean that out. So that's not balance.
Right.
After we can talk about balance. So normally I'm really into balance. I'm a yoga teacher and a healer, and I love balance. If I work on the
Right.
left side 5 minutes, we're going to work on the right side for 5 minutes, and then the middle. But I'm not trying to be in balance right now. I'm trying to really be, no, I'm trying to deregulate. Talk about,
Yeah.
if we being, what is regulation? We can overregulate. I know I'm an overregulator. So I want to always be on top of myself and do my this and do my practice and do my meditation and make sure
Mhm.
that I am on top of it. Right.
Right.
This is the time that, and that's my habit. My habit is to regulate. Why do
Mhm.
I regulate? Why do we regulate? So we don't feel. So I'm trying to get myself to deregulate, and that might mean do less.
Yeah.
It might sit in my room and just do nothing. A lot of people are saying, I don't feel like doing anything. I just don't feel like I don't want to do anything.
Okay.
And normally I say, just do it. Just get up and do something. No, now
No.
it's like, no, just that's fine. You don't have to be superwoman right now. You can have the silence. Sit in your
Well, I
room. Feel.
yeah, I
It's
think
an
all those.
important.
Yes, because those are habits, right? Like as you say, we all have habits, and I feel like for me the last year and a half was really about, as you say, doing all this grieving, like it was releasing, dying to everything that I knew that existed before. So it's like I can actually, the way I describe it, be that lighthouse to say it isn't about balance. It's about choosing now. Which side do you want to lean towards? Because if you lean towards that, you see the gift. For those of us that know that this is a gift, and you go, it's a gift, you need to see it and experience it as the gift and realize we're releasing and we're getting more connected. And this is the transformation we've been waiting for. And it's just what is. If you're on the other side, where I say if you're still a caterpillar and you've been on the treadmill and you've been doing very much habitual stuff about what life is and listening to others and blaming others and living outside yourself, and have never done a mindfulness retreat, never done yoga, never done anything, and never would have, this is God's way of saying, guess what? Everybody's doing it right now in the whole world. Everybody's coming within. Everybody gets to look at themselves. Everybody gets to notice their own stories. And if you still want to be there, you can be there for as long as you want to be there, right? Eventually, something will kick in, just as it kicked in for you and I in our lives to change some of our habits before, right? To get us into this work that we do to help people, right? Something changed. I know I used to be the caterpillar and suffer, and blame. And then I had sickness. And then I had to have something say, I don't want this life anymore. And I think that's what some of the habits that people need to just realize right now is that they have been playing the victim for a long time. And now surrendering, but surrendering to the greater good and knowing that it's all out of our control.
Right. And that's so hard. It's so hard. I mean, even we can say it right now, but I'm really bad at surrendering. I have to tell you, I'm terrible at surrendering. So I'm going to talk about, if I'm going to say like what this deregulation would mean for me. So again, I'm still I'm still over regulating with, you know, my own yoga practice, my own
Mhm.
putting myself here in the sanctuary room. You know, that's my comfort zone, really. For
Okay.
me to deregulate would mean to go sit in my bedroom and not, and you know, not clean my house and not do anything and not. But I mean, I do have to prepare for Passover, so I do have to clean my house, and I
Right.
do. Is right. These next few days, I have to do that. But after that, it actually for me, because I've been so over hyper regulated in doing all of these practices my whole life, and that's what's
Mhm.
me from, like I said, in my case, from feeling my deeper grief.
Right.
I have to actually do less of this in a way,
Yes.
like do less of what my regulation is. If my
Right.
regulation was Netflix and alcohol, then I would have to cut that out. But my regulation is trying to make myself balanced and centered all the time. But I don't want it right now. I don't think it's good for me to be so centered. I think I need to actually feel some chaos, you know,
Ooh, let's whip it.
or and to feel some, to feel,
Right.
you know, if you're walking around going, I'm great. This is, if people who are walking around now saying, I feel amazing. Everything's fantastic. I love this. It's amazing. Okay, but I would go a little deeper into that. I mean, I'm one of those. I'm a culprit of that. That's why I'm saying I would go. What's go deeper?
Mhm.
Okay, go deeper beyond the okay, because these are people who love feeling okay. I love feeling okay. Everything's great. It's all great, right? But actually, even if it's not my own grief, there's stuff going on in the world right now. There's stuff, and you cannot, even if you shut yourself in and try not to feel anything and do all the best things and eat all organic food and do yoga all day and meditate and om and everything, it's still hitting your system.
Okay.
And we need to be able to feel it. I'm not saying you have to suffer. I'm saying feel
Right.
what really feel the hard stuff.
And
Okay, feel the hard stuff.
I'd just like to suggest that some of us have felt that hard stuff, right? Like the amount of um, purging and grief that I've gone through. Like it's like I didn't know why. I would sit on the mountaintop in Costa Rica, and I would just be like, okay, why am I here except releasing all, I felt like I was releasing and releasing this, you know, major cosmic global unworthiness, you know, major grief. And it was like, I'm doing all this, I'm going within, I'm purging it all, I'm getting every last bit out so I can be that clear vessel. And when this all came down, it was like I was guided this time to leave Costa Rica in like the end of February. I said, book a flight for March 3rd. And everybody around me was like, well, why would you do that? Because it's still cold in Canada. Why wouldn't you wait till April? And I'm like, because you know me, I trust my inner guidance. I don't know what my inner guidance has in store, but I know. So I was back in Toronto ahead of everything, right? I was back in Toronto before Toronto started to close itself down. I was in that process and I could be there. It was like the messages that I feel right now is that, yeah, the grief, like you said, the grief, I mean, I've had to let my daughters go. I've had to let them go. When you say you're getting closer to your daughter, my daughters and I used to be like this. We were very connected, and then we've had to go our separate ways because in that I had to grow deep roots, like the roots of the trees in Costa Rica. You know, in that sense, to be present here, to say, you know, it really is a God's plan. It really is. This is our moment. Like you said, so many of us that have been sharing just feel like this is the moment we've been waiting for. Nobody would have said this is how we expected it to be, but nature's coming back, right? People are recognizing what brings them joy. I was talking to my friend yesterday and she's like, I'm dancing at home. I don't have to go to work. I'm cleaning my house, right? I'm starting to feel joy again. And sometimes it's not that they need to release the grief, it's that they
Yes.
need to feel the joy again and realize they've been so contained by the lock on their habits. They haven't
It's
been
what it's whatever it's whatever's been it's like whatever
right.
is needed, but we still have to listen and
Yeah.
observe, go deeper. even to connect to the joy. And
Yeah.
maybe like in your case, like you said, you've done enough grief releasing for this the segment that you need to do. And now you're plugging into some kind of mission. Oh, that was the thing
Yeah.
about Moses, right? When Moses listened and stopped and took the locks off of his habits, he was given his mission in life,
Yeah.
right? And you, I know that you've been traveling all over the world, following your inner guide, locked down to any one place, letting go, surrendering in terms of your,
Hmm.
finances, and just
Right.
so that you already did that. And I feel like when I'm listening to you, I feel like you've received information about your mission and what you're
Yeah.
supposed to be doing, and like you're doing it right.
Right.
So you had to unlock something
Hmm.
in order to.
Oh, yeah.
So
Unlock
in my
everything. Unlock
right,
everything.
so for some people, when we do that, we get connect with our grief, with our fear,
Hmm.
with our anxiety, with our joy, with renewed relationships, with whatever it is, and then that will move us into understanding our purpose. Because
Right.
the bottom line is we each have a purpose, and if this shift in consciousness is going to happen, we need to plug into that purpose because each of us has a role. It's not going to just poof happen, with electricity itself. We have to spread the word. Those of us who are already in it, we have to spread the word. We have a role. We have an important role.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know that I'm how much I'm including myself in this, but I would like to be included. I would like to think that I'm part of that. But
Absolutely. You're right
it's
here, right now, and you're sharing this amazing message. It's like,
so,
even if
so
you're spreading it out, it's like I get shivers listening to you.
well, I don't know where this is going and who's listening to it, but who's going to listen to it. But I think the thing is that when we're still, when we stop, when
Hmm.
we take the distractions away, when we get down to something more essential, we
Hmm.
are going to be able to hear something and feel something important. And
Yeah.
the portal is going to be through it, in many people, the wounds, feeling our
Right.
wounds, then moving through. If you've already done enough of that, it's going to be, what am I supposed to do? How
Yeah.
can I serve? How can I get my message out? How can I help people right now? What
Hmm.
is the way to help people? Do I have a financial capacity to help people?
Right.
We know if we do and if we don't. Is it my time and energy and effort? Is it through messages on the internet? Is it through, what is it
Hmm.
through giving people practical advice?
Right.
What is our purpose? Is it through improving your relationships with people, fixing old problematic relationships with family and friends? Whatever you're meant to be doing right now, we need to stop and listen and peel
Yeah.
away and make space in order to get that message. Just like Moses in the burning bush, he had to stop,
Yeah.
right? He had to take the locks off his shoes, off his habits. He was able to see a higher vision. He spoke to God. God told him, "This is your mission. This is your purpose." Even if he didn't believe he could do it, we
Right.
don't. We don't. We're just little people. Also, we don't believe that us little people. Who are we? We're just normal people. And how can we make a difference in the whole world, right?
Right.
But now have the internet, we're baby boomers. We didn't grow up with the internet, and we have it, and it's a tool, and it can be used for the higher good, and it can be used for other things which are less good. Let's use the internet for good.
Right.
You and I are not here marketing anything. Marketing is not bad, but right now, what the most important thing is, because you and I both have enough to eat, we both have enough food,
Right.
thank God, and are sheltered. We're sheltered.
Mhm.
Let's use the internet to spread this word like fire.
Yes.
That's what I say.
And let everybody see the burning bush.
Well, let's everybody see what the divine message is in the burning bush. If people walk, you could see it,
Mhm.
but it's not until he stopped and listened that he heard God's voice.
Very, very good point. Because people do, it's just like they look at what's going on and they think the story is the dun dun dun, but the message in the story is the gift, which is coming through each one of us in different ways, right? At this particular time.
And also because Moses didn't think that he had it in him, he didn't think that he could do this. we also don't know. It's an unknown. It's like we don't know how we're supposed to
Right.
fulfill our mission and our purpose, but we have to listen to, like, to the voice, to whatever that voice is. Like you said,
Right.
your inner guidance,
Yeah.
God's voice, or guys, whatever you want to call it. You need space. You need to make space to hear that voice. And then, even if we don't know how exactly it's going to happen, you just take a step. You just take the
Yeah.
steps, and you do what you need to do. I mean, I'm teaching yoga on Zoom. It's like a silly little thing, but it feels deep somehow. It feels like I'm touching my
Right.
students, and I'm people, and I don't know, what's going to happen with this, but I'm doing it anyway, right?
Right.
Um, so I think that if a door opens right now, this is the time to walk
Mhm.
through doors. If somebody
Mhm.
makes a suggestion, an offer, I think that's just a little piece of advice that I'm getting. It's like, do you want to do this? Sure.
Right.
You asked me before, I've never done it before. Sure, I'll do this, right? Um, this is a time to do something different. Yeah, and we can use, and what do we have at our disposal? We have the internet. That's all we have. So what
Right.
do we have to connect right now? So the internet has really become a huge thing, and this is anyway.
And that actually comes back to where you started in the beginning, from my perspective, of what really is essential. And in some ways, we've made the kids being on the internet, wrong. They've been spend too much time virtually, and now all of a sudden, it's essential, in a sense, for many of us to be connected here virtually. It's essential for us to take the time to go within for ourselves, to release the emotions, right? To release and honor ourselves, whatever it is we're feeling, and allow ourselves the freedom to notice what's going on in our own body within, as you say, from going through this narrow spot from the head to the heart, and really recognizing, if we take the locks off our habits. Those are all the essential ingredients now to what is going to help everyone get the gift of the transformation, right?
Yeah.
And so if somebody would like to do yoga with you, or body work, or anything, because you can't do the exact body work, but can you do somatic touch have you done that yet through Zoom?
No, but I do counsel. I can do,
Mm-hmm.
counsel on online, and I also have online yoga classes. I thought we weren't marketing right now,
No,
but
we're not marketing. We're just sharing. I was just sharing
yes,
in
yes,
terms of that.
yes, I am doing that. I mean, I have people that I do kind of doing emotional wounds, working on our emotions through. Right now, I usually use touch, but right now I'm not using touch, but there's other ways that we can connect energetically. And my yoga classes are also very somatically oriented, and they're not just regular, working with the body. It's working with the energy body, working with the subtle body, working with the emotions, working with the spirit, the soul. So my yoga is definitely the way I'm is very integrated, mind, body, and soul. And I try to give people an experience of really, like, feeling themselves deeper,
Mm-hmm.
really feeling what is talking about. Like, that is a tool.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a tool to feel yourself. When I'm practicing, I'm feeling myself deeper. So I offer that as well. And
And see, I just think that's being authentic, because that's what you're doing versus it being marketing. I feel like when somebody is, their intention is that all they ever want to do is make a sale, like that type of thing is the marketing. Here, I think that's one of the gifts that's coming into the world, is as we're redistributing this, opening up our hearts, we're redistributing resources. I do believe we
yes.
have enough resources in the world, and we will notice how things shift. And we're also being authentic. So I know someone posted the other day saying, well, I'm not going online with makeup. And I'm like, well, that's awesome. I haven't been going online with makeup, for years. I've stopped editing videos, because to me, if we were talking in a coffee shop, right? We're not going to, hold on, Rachel, let's stop. Let's just replay that. Let's say that again. This is about us being authentic and being real. We do make mistakes in that sense. That's what life is. We say some wrong things. We flip the hair the wrong way. The camera angle goes a different way. But when we're truly authentic, that each of us have been going through trials and tribulations and suffering and grief and releasing, and we give permission for everybody to experience what you're experiencing. It's okay, whatever you're experiencing. It's just when you're wanting to stop an experience and you're, in a sense, and you want to make it wrong, or you're living outside yourself, that might be an opportunity to reach out to somebody that can help you just get present back to what you're actually experiencing and getting out of your habits.
Yeah. I'm here right now I'm being completely authentic, and I'm just, just having a chat with you. If anybody resonates with my energy or what I'm saying, or what I feel like I might be a good match for someone to work with them, then that I'm just looking to work with the people who are a good match for me, a good energetic vibration. So if anybody hears this and feels that with me, then I'd be very honored to work with them, to work with you. So
see, we're all just one big, authentically heart-to-heart family. Is there any last words of wisdom that you want to share? Because I really feel like we've given so much and we've shared so much. The vibrations are rippling out across the planet.
I just come back to feeling like just to again focus on giving yourself permission to be still. And for some of us, for the doers, like I'm doer, for the doers, it's not easy. But if you're still right now, if you give yourself stillness, you're gonna know if it means know what you need to do, what help you need right now, what support you need, or who you need to help, or how to help yourself, what you need to, what your mission is. I think that's the stillness right now is coming to me as a really big message. So just going to reinforce that again, and just let us be open to the possibility right now that we can be really with love with one another. We are all connected. That even if we don't believe it and those are just words, let's just be open to the possibility that that is where we're headed. That is where we're headed. And even if we know it's possible, even if we don't feel it in our hearts, but we believe it's possible, that's the first step. So I know it in my bones. I feel it in my bones. I'm so sure that this is it. So this better be it.
I do think
anymore. But no, it really feels, I just feel sure. So it's just, it's in the air. It's the vibe. I feel it wherever it's here. It's here.
Yeah.
There's no more waiting. It's it. This is it. There is no, let's wait for this to end. This is it. This is happening. So it's very exciting. Yeah. Anyway.
It is.
Along with the pain. Yeah. That's it.
Perfect. Well, then I'm just going to suggest in some of the things, but in that stillness, if you're in that space, maybe just opening your hands, as simple as opening your hands as if your palms are up and you're ready to receive a gift from God, that might help you just get present in that moment when you're in an experience that you are feeling uncomfortable with, right? Just realize that God is pouring into you in every single moment. And if that's keeping that door open for you, that's trusting and believing, but it's like, it's happening. It really is. Those of us that know it, we know it. Even I found with people that I've met on, like when I was in Toronto, I would ask them, how are they doing? They go pretty good. Like, I'm really liking this mental health break, right? And it's that sense of sometimes people would say, am I in denial? And all they needed somebody to say, well, no, isn't this like a great global transformation? And they're like, yeah, it's like they know it somewhere inside themselves. Everybody knows it inside. But yet if they're connected over there with this other broadcast, they're like, is it really true? Is what I'm feeling really true? And when, as you say, you have it in your bones, when we know that we know that we know that this is the time that we've been expecting, that this is waiting for, it's like, how can you be anything but excited about what's going to happen? Like, that sure, you still might experience grief. You still might experience sadness. You might lose somebody close to you, but ultimately it really is the promised land.
Yep. Perfect. That's exactly it. Exodus. We're in Exodus. We're in Exodus. Well, Jacqueline, thank you so much for
thank you, darling.
Opportunity And even though I'm in Israel, I'm wearing Sanskrit, I'm wearing my Shivananda shirt. So I just, wishing everybody to touch peace, to feel peace, to accept, to surrender, to let go, to love, to just open up to all possibilities right now.
Yes.
And
Mwah.
you blessings on your journey of the mission that you have, and that may you fulfill your mission in the best way that you can with the greatest ease.
Thank you. Same to you, my darling. Thank you so much for being here. Mwah. I love you.
You too.